What is up, everybody? This episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast is brought to you by Sunday Lawn Care. They make taking care of your lawn just easier than ever. I've gotten my second shipment from Sunday. The good news is it's still very easy. All I had to do was go to getsunday.com and put in my home address, all right? And I did it at my new house. And their free lawn analysis tool took care of all the rest in seconds. It analyzes Google Earth data and looks at your property, and then local soil and climate data to create a tailored nutrient plan. So you get all the stuff your lawn needs and nothing it doesn't. That's what I find is like the hardest part, because it's like, how do you even know what your lawn needs? That's where Sunday really makes your life easier. I don't know what my lawn needs. Fortunately, Sunday does. And then it's made with ingredients that you can pronounce, natural ingredients like seaweed, iron, and molasses, not like funky chemical stuff, so you can grow better and feel good about it, right? Then here comes the box. You get a box and it's got these pouches, and you just connect them to the sprayer on your hose, right? You attach the pouch to the garden hose, you spray the lawn, it takes like 15 minutes, that's it, and I'm done. And then the grass looks better than it ever has. I can't say ever has because I wasn't there before I bought the house, but certainly better than it has since I bought the house. This stuff is really easy. It takes no time at all. It's all like disposable. You don't have to like make room in your garage for it. It's great. It's great. Let Sunday take the guesswork out of growing a greener, more beautiful lawn this spring. Visit getsunday.com/tire. That's getsunday.com/tire to get $20 off for your custom lawn plan at checkout. $20 off your custom lawn plan at getsunday.com/tire. Check this one out. I have certainly been in this situation, and I bet you have too. Have you ever been in a situation where a dash cam really would have made a difference? I mean, I drive around with cameras on my car for a living, but that doesn't mean I drive around with cameras on my car all the time, but I wish I did. I jump around from car to car, so it's not really practical for me to have things in my cars that don't get driven all the time, but I bet you guys have one car that you drive most of the time, and most of the weird things you see happen on the road happen in that car. Whether you're driving on a busy road, parked overnight, the Blackview dash cams have you covered, right? We've got a brand new one from them. They just sent it over. It's super cool. The Blackview DR750X Plus Series Cloud dash cams, all right? It's got an upgraded Sony Starvis sensor, giving you stunning clarity and vivid colors, even in the most challenging of situations. The extended dynamic range means that your Blackview dash cam will capture even more detail in highlights and shadows, and that means no blowing out license plates with your headlights at night. It makes everything easier to read. It's better for evidence. During the day, colors and details are preserved throughout the whole frame. The front camera records 1080 60 FPS, letting you capture critical moments even at high speed. You can slow things down. It's nice. The Blackview DR750X Plus features a built-in voltage monitor, letting you hardwire your Blackview for ultimate protection when you're away without draining your vehicle's battery. With Blackview Cloud, you can rest easy knowing you can check in on your car at any time and even receive notifications on your phone. The Blackview DR750X Plus series, dash cams you can rely on. Go to blackview.com/TST and use promo code TIRE. Right? Blackview is VUE. BLACKVUE.com/TST. Use promo code TIRE to get 10% off any Blackview dash cam. Free shipping for all orders over $200. BLACKVUE.com/TST. And of course, it wouldn't be a podcast without Tradecraft Farms in the house. Last weekend, I took the 911 Safari out to the Tradecraft Farms Port Hueneme location. Wow, what a retail location for your ganja files. They really have everything, and I really went on a spree. I kept Kevon really hard at work during that shopping experience. But what a really beautiful location. I'm going to have like a Cars and Coffee out there. It was really nice. And I never hung out in the Channel Islands before. That's a cool place to take a day trip. Tradecraft has the best smokables, vapables, and edibles. You name it, they got it. If you're not in California and you can't enjoy this kind of stuff legally, I feel for you. I really do. One day you'll be part of the civilized world as well. And until then, give them a follow on Instagram, Tradecraft Farms. There used to be an underscore there. I can't go back and change all my old podcast reads, but they got rid of the underscore, which I think was a very good move. Just Tradecraft Farms on Instagram, give them a follow, and tell them your boy Matt from the Smoking Tire sent you. All right, on this episode of the Smoking Tire podcast, Dorifto extraordinaire, multiple times champion. Zach, is he multiple times champion? Yeah. Am I saying that correctly? 3 times champion, Formula Drift champion, Chris Forsberg. This is one of my favorite people to see in the paddock every year. He's always got an amazing attitude. He's always doing stupid fun things and buying stupid fun cars and building stupid fun cars, playing with his friends, Ryan Turk and all the other fucking drift guys. Chris Forsberg just rules. And here he is in our studio on the Smoking Tire podcast. Chris Forsberg is in the house.
Yes, sir.
Is your phone silencioed?
It is, yes. Actually,
don't be that guy.
I will not be that guy. It's always silenced because of things like this.
Do you drive your race car with your phone in the car?
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to sit there in the grid line for a minute, right?
It's a very long time. I've actually been made fun of for being on my phone in grid, like up until like warming the tires up. You know, I actually will tuck it in my Recaro seat in the passenger side. Just wedges in there.
Yeah, you wedge it in the seat cushion there. That's a shockingly good cell phone holder, isn't it?
It really is. And then, you know, like there might be a crash or something. It's just like, all right, well, check Instagram or send
start playing FR
message.
Legends, and you're like, all right.
What's your favorite like driver luxury that you've seen in a race or drift car? Like JR's got a fucking bump in stereo in his shit.
Oh yeah, we did that back in like 2005.
It was back in the day. Yeah,
we had old Rockford radios in our cars back in 2005 and held that for a few years. And we kind of all got out of it, and then he put it back in and like trying to bring it back. So
you got 900 horsepower. Like what's the radio's not going to hold you back?
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite was the vintage YouTube video of the Dick Trickle cigarette break. Remember that? Dick Trickle, NASCAR driver, would have a fucking cigarette during cautions. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, that's like a lot of guys with the open face helmets. My one buddy who drifts, he bought an open face helmet specifically so he could smoke in the grid. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Like, all right.
His name's not Fellow, is it?
It is not.
Okay. I'm like, I definitely know that dude. So what is the most interesting like driver luxury that you've seen? To really stop at the radio?
That I've seen? I mean the radio's cool. I mean we have our cool suits, which like is fantastic since we're just sitting there just baking in the sun for hours.
Cool shirts are really a game changer.
It's a game changer. It's incredible.
When you put that on, it's really like when you get a morphine at the hospital.
It's like almost too cold at first. Like you turn it on, just like you just feel it like
you can
rolling
feel it pump around your body. It's like getting
morphine. I'm like turning it down. Like too cold.
So do you just use the ice water one, or do you have the air conditioner one?
I just use the ice water one. The air conditioner ones are they're more affordable now. Like when I got my cool suit, it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and it just doesn't go bad. It's a little pump and a cooler. Yeah. But like the air conditioner ones, they were like thousands of dollars, and I was like, I don't need that just yet.
Yeah, that's like the WRC one. That's the one where you're like on stage all day.
Yeah, because the ice water ones, I mean, it melts after like 2 or 3 hours, so it doesn't last all day.
But you know what? If you're using one, because I've had multiple cars without air conditioning, I use it as a substitute for air conditioning. I put it in street cars.
Do you?
Yes, I've had 2 different street cars as a substitute.
That's actually really smart.
It's actually better. And,
it's definitely better.
And if you're on a road trip, like driving across like fucking Texas in the summer, it lasts about as long as a tank of gas. It's about the same.
That is a much more affordable way to have air conditioning in an old vintage car.
100%. If you're willing to, and I got pulled over once in Texas in a Mustang Cobra R. 01 with a cool shirt, and we got to step out of the vehicle, and as we stepped out of the vehicle we had like umbilical
I gotta unplug here.
The cop's like, what is that? And we told him, he's like, you guys are geniuses.
Smart dudes.
But I haven't tried the AC one though. Have you tried that one yet?
No, we gotta get one.
I don't know if do you get the water heroin feel with the AC one?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to find out. But yeah, probably switch to that on our new build. We got a couple new builds coming down the pipeline, so got to update.
Like, you should do a cool shirt setup that's like a big Yeti cooler with like 4 hoses for your big Nissan drift taxi.
Yeah.
Like, all right, everybody hook up.
Hooked in. Yeah, we got helmets on the rack and you got your cool shirt on the rack.
That's like at the thermal club. That's the experience, right?
I bet it's probably way too freaking hot out there.
You ever do like a membership experience out there?
No, I've been there. I got like a tour of the place before it opened, but I haven't like really been there.
They give you the ice towel you put on your neck, right? And they clean your helmet visor. They do your window. They make sure your transponder's like set. Check your tire pressures. You have like a shot of espresso. You go out the track. They come back. They got like a lavender scented towel they give you. Yo, this shit is so G out there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got to see some of the houses they were building there, and it's just like, oh, here's my balcony view of my garage, and I fit my lifts in and everything in there. I was like, all right, cool. Very cool.
I think I was told that if you buy a property and a membership there you have 2 years to build a house. You must build a house within 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know the 2-year window thing, but I heard like that you have to there's a lot of stipulation to it, and I was just like, I'm not going to be doing that, so I kind of like zoned it out.
Well, because I can imagine a lot of like folks who have a place in Palm Springs will be like, well, let me just buy the dirt and I'll use the membership.
No problem.
But they want it. They want to see that.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I can see what they're trying to do. It's like that country club style. Yeah. It's a very nice facility, and just having all those homes like VIR. You've been out there.
I like the ones at VIR.
Yeah, they're cool.
They're quality. And Spring Mountain's a good time too.
Yep.
Spring Mountain is a fun country club track.
It is.
They have the right amount of club versus freedoms.
Fun. Yeah.
It's like summer camp with no counselors.
They've found a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a little bit more of that at E-Town. That's like a little more just
E-Town.
Just the party track.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
What's the current status of Englishtown?
Well, he got rid of the drag strip because the NHRA fees, everything else was like too much. He was basically just like not having fun running the big top fuel races anymore. And he's like, I love motocross and I love drifting. And so they got rid of, or they leased out most of the property to basically like an auto recycler just to kind of take up that space, and then he repaved the drag strip to be a drift stadium. And so we're supposed to go there last year, but obviously everything changed, but we are going back this year, and so it's going to be like basically the world's first drift stadium. Formula Drift will be running there. They've been holding like other events.
Irwindale might be Irwindale's basically a drift stadium.
It is, but imagine stadium seating and VIP seating on all 4 sides. So
awesome.
Yeah, you don't
and
really
it's
have
smaller
that
than Irwindale, so it feels a little bit like tighter. You get the crowds, like noise will kind of resonate more.
The size of the track is more similar to like Wall Stadium, so you just have that like just like Coliseum style feel, but you have 26,000 seats.
That's a lot.
It's
That's
like
cool.
3 or 4 times more than Irwindale.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that'll be
really
cool. What's that place in Atlanta across the street from Lanier?
Lanier.
I think it's Lanier. Yeah. They got a kind of a good setup for that.
Yeah, they got a good vibe too.
That's the place where I like to go when the race ends at Road Atlanta.
Oh, cool.
They've always got some fucking wild ass figure 8 shit
They're doing
going.
trailer races or something over there.
What's your favorite alternative motorsport?
Alternative motorsport. Let's see. I mean, like I've been to a couple skid plate races and trailer races, things like that, and it's just like that's just a good time.
Have you in the driver's seat or as a spectator?
No, I almost did. Irwindale was offering seats for the skid plate races 1 year. It was like the Thursday night before the Formula Drift round. I was like, I don't know if getting T-boned in someone's Accord is going to be a good idea before we
NOS
race.
People are going to love this shit.
Yeah, I was like, that's a great invitation, but maybe next week.
Drifting doesn't have a for the love of the game clause that allows you to show up and race any motorsport. You know that thing with Jordan? Jordan was allowed to play basketball anywhere at any time.
Oh.
It's called for the love of the game clause.
Wow.
Like normally athletes aren't allowed to do things outside their sport.
Yeah.
So there should be a for the love of the game clause for drifting, where you should be allowed to compete in any motorsport at any time for the love of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that we have an exact restriction, but I would hate to break my leg driving some demolition derby car the week before and be like, oh yeah, sorry, just wanted to have some fun.
That's probably why they got rid of that. Like drivers used to race lots of different disciplines. tons back in the 60s and 70s just to make checks and race. And then I think as it got became more lucrative, sponsors were like, yeah, how about you don't race Mini Coopers today? Lewis.
It would be nice.
Yeah, Jackie Stewart's like fucking mobbing a rally car, and it's like, Jackie, Tyrrell needs you this weekend.
Yeah, Verizon would prefer if.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but no, it's there's a lot of other things that we're like starting to get into, and like doing some road racing. We had that little rally tribute build that we did for Nissan, and we're starting to do a Razor side by side build with Slime, and so we're like starting to kind of dabble in different disciplines and trying to have some fun outside of just drifting. So.
Is the building or the driving and racing more important to you at this point?
It's hard to say because like I really do enjoy the build, especially when it's like custom, like the Altimaniac. But
that's the drift car.
That's the new the Altima that we just built.
Yeah, Larry's photos from that Willow Springs event, fucking bananas.
It's freaking nuts. And so that car. The build was fun on this one, but of course the drive was even better. And that car, we've been planning this thing for, I want to say like a year and a half. It was first kind of introduced and pitched to a couple of our partners. Valvoline was the guys from absolute day one were like, we love this idea, let's make it happen. And it was over a year ago that we basically got it approved, but then COVID hit, and so everything got put on hold. And so it wasn't until the midsummer that it was like, okay, everything's back on, let's party. And it's like, okay. And so we were trying to
have it ready for SEMA, by the way, for virtual SEMA.
Yeah, so that was like kind of still our mental deadline, but there was just like so many holdups and just issues that we're running into with getting parts, and people were just like struggling to be able to put in the work because they're trying to like focus on things that are making them money. And but for this car, so what we did was I picked up an Altima and we had it 3D scanned inside and out, and the guys from Tech Consulting, they did the scan, they drew the entire chassis, and they drew it like it was basically a trophy truck. They do that.
There's another picture on your Instagram is all tube. And that's basically
so that was
right?
a 3D print of the chassis, that right there. So that's
shit, a 3D.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's what the chassis
cool
looks
fucking
like.
use of 3D printing.
Yeah.
I had not even thought of that until right this second, where it's like, here's your diagram of what to build. Is that what they use to then build the thing, pretty much?
They gave that to me after the car was built. They were like, oh, well, we had the CAD, so we printed you out a little model. So it's about this big, it just sits on my table. But awesome. Yeah, so you could see it's the entire frame, everything was rebuilt. It's not like we, hung some subframes and ran some tubes to it all. Like we hollowed that entire car out. And
is there any Altima left?
Actually, there's a lot more than you would think. As far as like drivetrain wise and
no, obviously
suspension,
no
absolutely
drivetrain,
not.
but like the windshield and lights and shit.
The hood, from the hood to the trunk and the bumpers, that's all factory, and the doors even. Like the whole body is Altima still. But we shortened up the windshield. We made a new windshield cowl. We cut the whole inside out. We hollowed out all the A pillars and B pillars and all that, and so the tubes like press up all the way to the outside of the skin, not just like roll caging and stitching it to the inside. So it's just the outermost skin, and like the doors are factory, but yeah, there's that Condor. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. The full rollback. Yeah, it's awesome.
The drop back.
Yeah, and so we. We hollowed the whole thing out and we built the whole tube structure for it and made all new suspension mounting points and just made the whole thing, off of laser cut metal that our buddy Rob Parsons cut for us that Tech designed and built on their computer. And so basically just an entire two-frame structure, like I said, like a trophy truck, and then built around the Altima body.
That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild. No one's done it in drifting before. It's obviously been done in other forms of racing.
Well, that's not allowed in Formula D.
It's not legal for anything, which is why no one would waste their time on it.
It looks so good. And like the single company livery is so awesome. The color scheme they did is really great.
Yeah. So with that,
it would be fun if there was an unlimited class or something of Formula D.
It's
or an exhibition class or something, because I understand why it's based on factory cars. Keep it grassroots. Yeah, but Still, that's awesome.
It would be sick, and that's what we wanted to do. It's like kind of proof of concept of like what a drift car could be. And so if I was going to go through that much effort, I'm like, might as well make a 4-door, because the most used car outside of our Formula Drift car is our 4-door.
Right.
So we take that to Grid Life, everything else, and so that's basically our new Grid Life party car.
Sick.
Rules.
Yeah,
Because the Infinity was awesome.
The Infinity was real cool.
And you ran
and that
for
thing's
10
been going for
years,
10
right?
years now.
Is that thing still
Amazing.
kicking?
Hell yeah.
That's awesome, that Infinity.
Yeah,
But this
that thing
one
cannot
looks
be
like
stopped.
it looks like a somewhere between a Super GT and like a V8 supercar, like a DTM kind of thing.
That was kind of the goal. Yeah, I just wanted to have I wanted to have it be like still very factory body. Like we didn't have the ability to do like a full like composite. That was just like way too out of the price range that we're working with. So it's still very much the Altima body, but just slammed to the absolute
Smashed.
ground, and redid some of the exterior body on it, of course, with the the fender flares and things like that. All the flares on it were 3D
the fucking
printed.
tire. Tell me about these wheels and tires. Why does it look like they're so meaty?
Yeah, I mean they're 295 40s, so they are big.
They are
And
kind of
then-
meaty then.
Yeah, but with the body being so low, we had to raise the fender arches, and like one of my goals was to get the fender arches over the headlights, like so it had that kind of DTM look.
Yeah.
And we. So when we fit the rears on there, we had to cut into the rear door panel. So when you open the rear door, you can see like the whole tire, right? It's just sitting in
It doesn't
there.
kick rubber like into the cabin, does it?
We have door seals in there, so yeah, you're safe from that.
We've thought it sort of through.
Yeah, it does in the back of the car.
And
But,
why a GTR-based powertrain? I thought everybody was just doing big blown V8s now. What's the deal?
Well, we've been running the VR38 in our Pro car for 2 years now.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
I'm a
with
little
great
behind, I'm
success.
sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. And so we were running the V8 ITB setup with Nitrous to get the extra torque out of it because it was only a 5.6 liter for years. That's where we won our championships and all of our the highest finishes. And then we switched over to the VQ first, trying to make that work, and that was tough.
Not so good.
Yeah, it's a tough engine to make a lot of power with. So then we went to the VR38, which is just unbelievable amount of power you can get out of these things. And so when we're going into this build, I was like, well, let's still do the VR38, and it doesn't make it right now, but the goal is we're going to make 2,000 horsepower with the car, and we want to make the world's most powerful drift car out of the Altima. So
Sure.
yeah, so with that,
It's possible. They do it in the GTRs.
Oh
Why
yeah,
not?
they do almost 4,000 horsepower. in
Yeah,
those
the
things.
mile
It's
cars
insane.
are doing it.
Yeah, they're
yeah.
making like 3,300 wheel horsepower out of those things. It makes no sense.
What? I mean,
Someone
what
has
would
to give you a
do?
Chiron to drag race at the Hoonigan drag strip for this versus that.
Oh yeah, no, we're planning on taking that thing out there. Yeah.
But legitimately, what would you do with a 2,000 horsepower drift car that you couldn't do with a 1,200 horsepower drift car? Like, what
Just
is that really
drift-
not fast enough to do?
Drift with more people faster. That's the only reason.
With more people faster.
So like the Infinity, for example, right? So here's a good baseline. That thing makes about 600. And when you put 4 people in that thing, as soon as you're over third gear, you can feel it. It's
Okay.
like as soon as you get third and fourth gear, like good like 60 to 80 mile an hour drifts, it starts to feel like a Corolla again.
Got
where
it.
it's just like you're clutch kicking the crap out of it and just weighs down and doesn't want to burn the tires. So at 13, what it's set at right now, because when we built the car, we were shooting for Grid Life Skip Day, and that was on a Thursday. We finished the car, we fired it for the first time Tuesday at midnight. We got it on the ground for the first time.
You're never too successful to not have that be the thing that
Nope.
happens.
That's right. And so we and it hit the ground on its own, tires and suspension for the first time Wednesday at 3:00. 3:30 really. We loaded on the trailer. We get to the dyno by 4:15. We had 1 hour to tune it before the dyno closed, so that we could go up to the track. So we basically just put our FD tune on it and just cleaned it up for the car and like got it all driving good, throttles working, everything else. So in 1 hour got it drivable, making full power, made like over 1,000 to the ground, and then we went straight to the track. And so
And it's on ethanol, 85?
now it's on C16 right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty mild for a race gas tune. I mean, not to
Yeah. No, yeah, it
crap
is.
on your parade, but
No.
to
So
be running race gas at 1,000 horsepower is like
it's pretty standard.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
it was
you're good. You
it was
could
one
beat the
less-
shit out of that all day.
Oh yeah, and so that was one less variable for us trying to figure the car out. Was like, okay, this is the same basic package that our FD car has,
and it's got 3 pedals and a sequential. I can imagine. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's got a 6XD sequential. It's got the full 3-pedal action. Like you still use the clutch on the upshifts when you're drifting. It's just a little happier that way.
So the Powertrain just is your competition car with a longer drive shaft, basically.
Yeah, essentially.
That's awesome.
It's the same same differential. The Winter's quick change. It's got the 6XD sequential. It's got our same clutch setup, our same drive shaft shop, carbon drive shaft and axles and everything else. And so all of that is very similar to the Pro car.
Using carbon axles?
No, carbon drive shaft.
Oh, carbon drive shaft. Okay, cool.
But yeah, so we just set it to the FD car tune on the Garrett G30 770s. And so to make the 2,000 horsepower, we're going to swap G35 1050s on there, put the boost to like 35, 38, maybe 40. I don't know what the number will need to be. And then we can top out that motor. That motor will be able to do 2,000.
So when you're running, okay,
and so like you can see, you can burn the tires just fine. Like we're at Horse Thief, so we're doing like maybe 80 on the bottom by the water tower, and it's blowing the tires off just fine. But like, and that's with 4 people in it. But if we wanted to do anything,
banking at Irwindale,
like something like that, like to have like good grip, like FD level grip and speed, because the Infiniti we like have to loosen up for it to burn tires like that. So to run that car with a 295 GT radio is actually like hooking up and putting you in the seat. You need big power.
That's fucking wild. I mean, you're right. The math makes sense, absolutely. But fuck me. I mean, 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah,
that's wild. I mean, that's real. That's got to be a ride in the back seat.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit.
Imagine like an FD car, right? They're averaging, 1,400 horsepower, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere
Is that
around
where
there.
they're at right now?
Yeah, everyone's over 1,000 wheel, and so now take an FD car and put 600 pound of dude in it and watch that thing like load up. So we're basically just 100%. Trying to get over that bell curve.
Yeah.
I mean, the smoke came out of the tires in that thing.
Oh, it's instant.
It was like a magician trying to escape. It was so instant because I was standing down, Grid Life watching, and all of a sudden it was just like you'd go to the corner and then just, and it was so thick, and so quick and so instant, and then you just shred the whole way. It was insane.
Yeah, and it's funny. You can see the marks that thing puts down versus like, because there's other guys that are FD cars.
Thicker.
They're just thicker and darker because it's just loading it up that much harder.
Does the fact that when there's the mile cars that make 2,000 horsepower. If you're talking about that kind of power, typically you're talking about a runway car, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because they don't hook up till they're over 100.
Right. It doesn't even matter what you do in first and second gear. It's all fourth, fifth gear, crazy town, right? But you're running these RPMs at typically much lower speeds, sometimes right behind another car that's blowing who the fuck knows what. So how do you keep a turbo engine alive under those kind of conditions making that? Are you spraying meth on it or something?
On the Formula Drift cars, we use anti-lag and nitrous. Usually just nitrous because the anti-lag really builds a lot of heat. On this car, we had the anti-lag going, and there's no nitrous. And but we were running anti-lag on and off most of the day because if you just work the clutch just right, like it's a motorcycle, like it just keeps the turbos lit up. Yeah,
that's fucking cool, man.
So it's actually a little bit smoother if you are just using the clutch. The anti-lag is like where the car gets a little jolty, like when you see the video where it's like really snapping around. Because when you go to get back on the power, it has boost built up already, so it just snaps out when you start to breathe on the pedal.
Does it feel more like the V8?
It gives you that instant torque hit. Yeah.
So
How do you
it's
use
two
that
different
driving
system?
styles.
Is it just flip it on or flip it off?
Yep, push a button.
That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's really cool.
And that's where you get all the pops and clacks and makes throws the extra fireballs, and it's more of a show for sure.
What's the difference between like a pro grade car of 5 or 6 years ago and a pro grade car of today?
Oh, it's completely different, which is why I really wanted to build a new 4-seater because the Infiniti was that's a 10-year-old technology, right? And so I was like, I want to build something bigger and better. And so, but on the pro level, all the cars are consistently making 4 digits, and the reliability is just there because of the drivetrain upgrades, the computer upgrades, even the tuners knowledge, being able to just give you a car that works every time. And so we're able to put more grip into the cars because we're making more power. You got guys, running single digit tire pressure, rims on the ground, Yeah.
It looks like they're lining up at the drag strip.
Yeah. And so just the speeds are just getting higher and higher, and just the grip and the control and being able to press in on other cars. So
yeah. Is the angle gotten even more, or is it kind of
not? It's pretty much plateaued about 5 or 6 years ago. Like, there's not too much more you can do. You know, you're
once the back is going into the corner before the front.
Yeah,
you're
getting like 60, almost 70 degrees out of some cars. Like, it's like 60 is the norm. But yeah, because once you get over that, the car just wants to push on the front end. You know, and it's more of the only time you can use that much angle is when you're decreasing your speed.
Right.
As soon as you get on the throttle, it just wants to straighten out and push the front end over. So,
well, that makes sense.
The speed, like your car, the top tier cars, it's just incredible how quickly they can like accelerate to catch up to the lead car. You can really see it, especially if you're going up against someone who like doesn't have as much factory support, or like they just got into the Pro 1 level, and you can just watch you guys like get on the gas and just run up to that door. Yeah, it's amazing. Even though you're pouring smoke and everything, acceleration is crazy.
Yeah, they'll push over a G. I don't know the exact number to quote it, but yeah, of forward acceleration in, you know, while spinning tires, I should say. Yeah.
Whoa.
Like, they'll just like, you just rev up and dump the clutch and just like, and that's when you see the pictures of the cars pulling the like inside wheel off the ground.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, just twists the chassis and just like loads it up and goes.
How has setup changed? I mean, I know power has changed and reliability, you said, but how has the setup and the approach to like spring stiffness, softness, stuff like that changed versus 5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's been slowing down. Like 10 years ago to 5 years ago was a bigger jump than 5 years ago till now. But yeah, at first it was like, you know, no sway bars, everything's super soft, let the car just roll around like a pig and, you know, trying to find the grip that way. And now it's much more, you know, keeping the car stable, using the tire more because the tires are better now, using the tire and having more mechanical drive in the car. And that's like where you see that starting to twist the chassis and pull the front end off the ground, because like you just have, you know, everything is just so much stiffer, and it's got to go somewhere. So instead of the car just like leaning and, you know, drooping all the tires out, it just like picks it up and just twists it out. So
it's like when when we were driving, I mean, you know, street car equivalent would be just pulling into the fucking, we had the new GT3 on Tuesday.
Nice.
You know, every time you pull into a gas station, you do get a wheel, you know, you got a wheel in the air. You know, it's the same thing. You make the car that stiff and it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, and it's funny to think that works better, you know, like having it so stiff, like you think it would just like skip across the ground.
Well, it works better in that one thing.
Yeah.
If you were building a street car, you wouldn't do that. You know, it would drive horrible if you did that.
Yeah, and so with the drift cars, it's kind of the same. So at first, everyone's just making it soft and letting it roll around, and it was driving like a boat. But now it's like they're very stable. The only time you really see it do that is when you get that initial clutch dump.
Right.
Like Vaughn's cars were just like kind of like high sailing the inside tire for a while there, just like really up in the air, like for like an entire turn.
Yeah.
And that was just the over the bell curve. If you see like last year, like they had a very successful year, like he wasn't doing that.
Though.
Yeah.
He got one really good. He got a lifetime of Instagram photos out of that one season.
Yeah. It was like the movie Cars, like one tire was waving, you know.
Yeah. So you see they kind of like woed that down, and their cars were more stable last year, and then they had much more success. So it's just like there's a point where it's just moving around too much.
Wow.
So
but the future is back to turbocharged engines then for it, right?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of forced induction. There's literally the only cars that are not forced inductions are those two Mustangs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are like...
But they have the biggest engines on the block.
Yeah, they're fucking crazy. Those motors are so crazy.
Yeah. They're incredibly powerful, and they run like 200 shot of nitrous on top of it. Like, you know, that's like kind of how we used to do with our V8, but it was a 338 cubic inch versus theirs is like a 460 something. So
yeah. How many runs do you get on a bottle? Did you use a standard size bottle?
I had a 15, when I was doing the V8 nitrous setup, we had a 15-pound bottle, and we still couldn't get 4 laps out of it. Wow. Because you have to be able to do your pair of runs, and we were running out on the 4th run.
Oh.
So we were basically chugging down like 3 to 4 pounds a pass.
That's a bunch.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of nitrous.
That's a lot of nitrous,
Yeah, that's a lot of nitrous.
And so that's why we went to the turbo setup. We're like, this just doesn't make sense. Like, we're just like chasing the car with bottles, and like, it's a lot harder.
Back in the day, we'd probably get like 15, 20 quarter mile pulls out of a bottle back in the day.
Yeah.
You get a lot, you get a bunch, 20.
Yeah. Well, you imagine, you know, so it's like a 2 to 250 shot, and it's a 30-second run. You know,
the runs are long.
Yeah, so you're just chugging it.
And you're probably using more, too, because you're using it to cool the engine and not just to make power, right?
No, just to make power.
It's just to make power?
Yeah. Some people were doing the sprays on, like, the intercoolers and stuff. But we were just using it for power. But yeah, when you were getting over 3 pounds a pass, it was like, this is like, every 2 laps we're changing tires and changing nitrous bottles. And you got one guy who's running bottles back and forth, trying to refill them, trying to cool the bottle, and then breathe. It's like, it was too much.
The bottle shuffle.
Yeah.
There was a guy up in the canyons I saw a couple weeks ago that had a Corvette, and he had a bottle in the trunk, and I was like, "Oh, bro, here you're fucking, you're serious, huh?" And he goes, "No, I just use it to spray. He's to spray the radiator because he had a supercharger on it.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, I purge it out and I spray the radiator." And I was like, "Okay, whatever,
it works.
Whatever you got to do, bro.
It makes a big difference.
I bet.
Yeah. And really, especially on a supercharged car, because you're just heating up the water and it heats up the engine. It's just like starts to get into its own little downward spiral. So
I think I'm over superchargers.
Yeah, I kind of am.
I think I'm over.
Yeah, I like them.
You know what? I can't
forever.
seem to ever find one that doesn't do that overrunny thing when you get off the throttle.
Oh, okay.
They all, but that maybe just I don't know. This is me.
I guess I like the power band. I like the way it feels before you get to that end.
Yeah.
I like the way I like
that instant feeling, and then I hate it.
Right, yeah. And at the end, I don't like it. What was it like as a driver with all these new techs and power sources being added into it? Was it so incremental that you just kind of went, okay, it's the next step? Or was the first nitrous bottle like, this is crazy, I'm hitting a button, all of a sudden it's just kicking hard, and it's a mess?
You actually were racing in fast forward the second you hit the 2 buttons on the steering wheel at the same time.
Oh yeah, and trying to catch those with a wheel spin is real tough. But yeah, like when nitrous first was coming into drifting, it was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why? Like, just turn the boost up. But like, it has a much different reaction, especially on a turbo car, because it not only makes the extra torque, but so the engine makes more torque, which spools the turbo faster. But even just like the particulates of nitrous, like, helps to spool the turbo is like what they're explaining to me. It's not just the extra power the engine makes.
It's the actual chemical component of nitrous.
Yeah, there's like basically like 2 reasons why like nitrous will spool a turbo faster. So it's like. We're making like, I don't even know what the number is, but like at like 4,000 RPM, we're making like almost 1,000 horsepower. It's like, it just shoots right up.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Anyone fucking with an e-assist yet in drifting?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say horsepower, I meant torque. Yeah, it's making like at 4,000 RPM, we're like peaking our torque out, because that's like when the nitrous hits and the boost is full.
And then what's your motor rev to?
8.
Oh, that's nice wide
4K
to work with. That's good.
Yeah, no, that's what you want out of a motor.
That's looking good. Yeah. That's excellent.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like the big change was around like 5 years ago, where turbo technology caught up and people being able to use nitrous to help spool the turbos was getting more programmable and more easy to adapt. Like because now we don't use anything. There's no extra. Computer or whatever, it's all just run through the Motec.
Wow.
So we just have a nitrous bottle, we have a solenoid, and the Motec just controls the whole
all
thing.
of it. Yeah, that's cool.
And so it's on a window switch for the throttle and on a window switch for the RPM. So over 40% throttle for us, for example, it's like over 40% throttle, it is now active, and if you're over like 3,500 RPM, it will be on.
Is it? This is going to be a dumb question, but is it dangerous to get into a fucking gnarly crash with a nitrous bottle in your car?
Not really.
It's not a real
movie
concern?
magic, yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
I mean, like, you could crash hard enough to rip the top off, but the bottle's so far inboard, it's like that's really not going to happen.
Right.
So it could happen, but
I suppose you could use it as appropriate ballast too. You can put it in the no, not if it blows, but I mean like in the in the weight distribution game. Put it where it needs to go.
Yeah. So we have it in the back. It's like forward of the axle. Like you really can't get into it. Some people have it mounted like off the back of their car, and that's kind of intense.
What? Like where a parachute should go?
Like outside the car?
No. I mean, when I say in the back of a drift car, that means like between the bumper and like you know the rear axle. Like, that's
in where
basically just might as well be behind the car.
Yeah, where the parts that end up on the track are.
Yeah. But I mean, no one's ever like cracked one or blown one, but like you'll get the occasional like blow or pop off valve that'll go off and it just dumps it off. It'll scare you because it all comes out fast, but like I've never seen like an actual bottle crack or break or something like that.
I saw someone knock a valve off a scuba tank once. Oof. It didn't full on missile.
Did
but
it?
It didn't leave. When I say that, I mean it didn't leave the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
But it did fucking shoot across the ground. Oh yeah.
I believe
it definitely did.
Yeah.
If it was a different angle or a different pressure, I could see how that would be a major problem.
Yeah. Well, and these, the bottles, they're clamped in, so they technically can't really go anywhere. So
that's compressed gas is scary.
Oh yeah.
Zach and I were just driving around this Toyota Mirai hydrogen car.
Oh, okay.
People are scared of the shit.
Yeah.
You don't drive around in a car full of compressed hydrogen.
Yeah.
Bitch, we seen the fucking Hindenburg. We know how this ends.
Well, don't all the buses have it?
Yeah.
That's CNG.
Yeah, CNG. Yeah, it's a little different.
CNG is not the same as hydrogen.
Yeah,
That's
no,
true.
no,
Still
it's not.
compressed gas, though, right?
It
Compressed
is.
natural gas.
It's compressed
Yeah.
natural gas, but it's definitely not hydrogen.
Yeah.
That's a good Long Beach photo on your website.
Yeah, there you go. So,
Long Beach is a great place to watch drifting.
Yeah,
I like
it's
it
one of
down
the
there.
best ones because you're downtown. You know, the ocean's right behind you. You got fresh air, and it's just a really cool vibe.
It blows the smoke out of the way pretty quick, so
Yeah,
you
it
can
clears out.
actually
Yeah.
see. Irwindale, it really just
It
hangs.
does. It hangs in there. And
That's
you
why
know,
the place to be is up on the roof.
Yep.
You got to get up to the roof of the boxes up there is where it's at.
Yeah, down on the inner wall, it's cool for about 5 minutes.
No, dude.
Then you're just like lap after lap. You're like, this is getting exhausting.
You're getting like an exfoliation with rubber.
Yeah.
Down there, it's fucking gnarly.
Oh yeah, it's pretty nuts. But the view is cool. It's basically that every pass, just cars on the wall. So
Yeah.
it's really exciting.
Do you find any joy in streetcars anymore at all?
Yeah, no, I do. I got my Datsun that I'll take out rarely at this point.
It's
to
got
be
an
totally
RB
honest.
in it, right? Your
Yeah.
cool gold one.
Yep.
So
That
nice
thing
looking.
rules.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. So it's got the RB.
Yours has a turbo, right? Unlike
Yeah.
Larry Chen's, he went with a turbo-less RB.
no.
Wait, wasn't Larry. No, not Larry Chen. That's
No,
Sung Kang.
Sung, yeah.
Sung Kang.
But there's a turbo in it now.
Larry's also got a 240. I'm not
He
just
does.
being
Yeah.
racist
He has
towards my Asian
He has
friend.
SR20 now, which
Yep.
just got redone again or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
So
Oh, he did
just-
an SR20?
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
probably better. He didn't understand the. Wait, Larry's got SR20
Larry's
or
got
Sung's
SR.
did?
Larry's 240 now
Oh,
has an
okay.
SR20.
Yep.
Oh, that's
with
a
the turbo.
yeah,
Yep.
okay, cool.
And then Sung's was NA, which I really liked. Had like the ITBs, had the big nice header on it. But now I think it's being converted to turbo. So
When he was in here, he said that he did it for tradition.
yeah.
But he didn't really understand what he was giving up in the driving department by not having the turbos.
Yeah, it definitely looked really cool when you popped the hood. It had
looked
that
awesome.
classic look to it, and it's funny because like he's going turbo, and I've debated going to naturally aspirated.
Trade
with mine.
engines.
Yeah, I know, right? Just swap them out. But yeah,
look at that.
it's a great car. Yeah, so
Gold Leader Z. Yeah,
That's
that
it,
was
man.
what it was called. That's a cool fucking name.
yeah, man. No, it's a lot of fun. Like I'll take that thing out every once in a while, but outside of that, I'm basically driving a truck every day, which I don't mind. But I do have my new Patrol, which I really like. So it's,
Imported new old Patrol.
Yeah, it's a
What year?
1990.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Y60. So that thing is sweet.
So are you going to do something stupid with it?
Oh yeah.
What
we
kind
do
of
something
stupid are we
with
talking
everything. We may or may not do a TB48 in that thing, which is basically
Wait, is that a Titan? What is a TB48?
No, it's basically like the RB's big brother. It's a 4.8 liter straight six gas motor.
Shit.
Oh yeah.
Because I've heard of like the
Yeah, there it
RB30.
is. So
I've never heard of a TB.
yeah, I didn't either, to be honest, until like recently. So that.
Do you know where does one get parts for that? Dubai?
Yeah, like overseas in like the Middle East and or New Zealand. There's a lot of them. So they have
Habibi, we are ready.
yeah.
Well,
so,
they do sand drags with these cars out there, right?
Oh yeah, that's what they're really doing them with.
A
So
TB48.
yeah,
It's a
so
4
it comes in
point-
the later patrols, like the Y61s and such. And so yeah, it's a 4.8 liter straight six NA actually. But I mean, even like Brian Crowder makes a stroker kit for it, and like people make pistons for it. And these guys will stuff them in, the old ones or the newer. But like you'll see a lot of the sand drag guys.
Yeah.
They'll stuff them in these Y60s, and they basically put that thing at the bottom of a 45-degree incline, put it in fourth gear, and drop it off the rev limiter, and they just burn it all the way up the hill. So
Those
it's out of
guys
control.
are this fucking sand dune guys are out of their minds.
Oh, it's hilarious. I love it. So these dudes will make like 1,600 plus horsepower out of these things.
Are you gonna do a single turbo or you do twins on that?
Probably just a big single, yeah. So
Is
It's
it
an iron
two-door or
block, right?
four-door?
It's a big iron block.
it's a two-door. It's
it's two-door.
it's is it iron? No, I think it is aluminum block.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I haven't seen one yet.
That's gonna be so shady.
I haven't done too much research. I
It's gonna be
should say.
great.
That's gonna be sketchy as hell.
Oh yeah,
Nah, it'll be fun. He's a professional.
it's the tiniest little thing.
That's gonna be so shady.
And it's four-wheel drive.
Yes.
So it'll just melt tires in a straight line.
we got a guy here who's got a Bronco that has a blown Coyote in it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's absolutely terrifying.
Like a first-gen Bronco, you're saying?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, old Bronco.
So it's like, it's the same size as that. They're tiny.
It has way too much power.
Yeah.
It drives terrible.
I believe it.
You're gonna have
This thing drives a little terribly at like 200, and it's not. It's like 150 horsepower.
Oh my God.
It's got a diesel engine now. It's a straight six diesel NA, and I literally have to downshift that thing going uphill.
Yes.
It's just matted down. Just whirr. I'm like, come on, baby, here we go.
We have a Delica.
Yeah.
And it's 86 horsepower.
Yeah.
So it's fine if you're by yourself, but try coming over the 73 from San Clemente.
That's what I'm talking about.
with
That's where I have to downshift that thing.
Dude, I'm
by myself.
max 52 miles an hour. VMAX. It was brutal.
I'll drop her in the fourth, and you'll just see that thing come down to about, like, what is it, like 90 kilometers? So it's about 60 or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're getting past.
That is the VMAX. Yeah.
I'll take the 5 in that thing sometimes just because it's flat and I can keep the speed up.
I'm telling you, there's a sport called Beetle Ball, and it's a flat-out street race in Volkswagen Beetles where nobody's going to get a ticket. You're still not speeding, but you can go flat the entire time.
Oh, my God.
It's fucking great.
That's cool.
I'm going to put this together one day, I swear.
I'm into
We're going to do it. Hey, get in the super chat if you have questions specifically for Chris. If it's like Seiko watch questions and shit, I'm going to save that till next week.
Yeah.
Unless you happen
You
to be
can
a
take
watch nerd and you want to be on that game. But
maybe one day I'll catch up with you.
Wait, we glossed over it. Is anyone doing an electric drift car yet?
Yeah, they did one not last year before.
Was it the GM, the Camaro thing?
Yeah, they
How'd
had
that
a
work
Tesla
out?
engine in it. Not too great.
It didn't work out?
Yeah, not
a couple
too
of
good.
starts they didn't start. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Didn't make a couple events. But, I mean, I commend them for the effort, There was a couple other builds out there in the world, but, yeah, they actually built one for FD, brought it out, tried to compete with it, and
Didn't really work out.
yeah, it's just not all there yet.
It seems like the kind of thing that would make sense.
It does, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had the idea like years ago, but like, battery technology just wasn't there. And so now, you can buy like Tesla drivetrains,
Of course.
and, swap them into anything. People are putting them into, classic cars and doing like restorations with them.
Do you know how many people have asked me about that?
Really?
So I've had more customers come up to me, and furthermore, the personal assistance of more customers come to me and go, my boss, blah blah blah, has, all like 5 or 6 requests have been the same car.
Yeah.
Classic Fiat 500.
Wow.
They all want to convert a classic Fiat 500 to EV. I've never driven an old Fiat 500, but I'm guessing it's fucking horrible. Based on the fact that nobody wants them.
Looking at it.
Nobody wants them as they are. And I've priced it out a bunch of different ways. It's about 50 G's, and you're looking at about an 8-month waiting list, and there's about 20 shops in California that'll do it for you.
Wow.
And all of them have quoted the same price and the same waiting list.
Wow.
And EV West basically was like, we don't even bother anymore.
Really?
They don't do builds anymore. They only sell the kits to other people to do the builds.
That's cool. EV West, that's cool.
EV West was like, remember, you know them?
No.
They're down by you.
Okay.
And they had like a Pikes Peak race car. They really were, at least in this area, the first company they built that M3, which I had to go in. It was fast as fuck.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I recognize that car.
And they also started doing Volkswagen Beetles and their Volkswagen Microbus EV. I mean, you want to talk about something that has improved 10,000%.
I can't imagine how that would fit into a Beetle, but sure.
The Microbus? Well,
No, the Microbus I could see, but like a Beetle, it just seems like it's so tight.
They took out the motor, obviously, and they put the motor controllers and the battery packs are pretty much there in the back. It was cool.
Yeah.
It worked very good.
But yeah, Microbus, those talk about something can't get out of its own way.
Right, and totally, you don't have to put a lot of power. You make the thing 100 horsepower, it'll feel like a dragster.
Oh yeah, it's definitely moving.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
that's
is in your street car stable these days?
The street
you got
car
this funky
stable.
Patrol.
Yeah, we got the funky Patrol we just picked up. I got Gold Leader, and I have obviously a dually or two that we use for towing our trailers around. And I do I'll still street drive those things just because it's like I'm gonna pick up something on my way to the shop or whatever. And then my Nissan Titan XD, which I kind of built Baja Pre-Runner-esque and did a custom long travel front end and things like that on it. The whole wide body nonsense, and that's kind of about it. Yeah,
That's a good list.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit of everything. Like I said, mostly drive the trucks, just because it's convenient. Around California, I don't really have I have a 370Z that's like in the back, and I was thinking about making it a street car, and I'm just like, I really don't need like to have like a street car outside of the Datsun, because it's like just gonna get myself into trouble. So I enjoy driving the trucks. If I need something to cruise around, I got my Datsun. So.
Yeah, the Datsun's good. And what is that thing making? Like 300 and something horsepower?
Like 360 wheels. So a little over
that's
400.
a lot for a fucking 280.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it's almost too much.
bunch.
That's why I was saying like, the NA setup would be great.
Yeah, that's a lot of power for one of them cars.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah, he was just showing the video, the rollback Condor. So
that is the coolest thing.
And the whole thing.
All right, what Chris is talking about is it's a flatbed.
Yep.
But it's a little different.
Yep.
So we're watching a video for the audio people. It drops the entire bed onto the ground behind the truck.
Yeah, so it's a lay flat tow truck, so different than anything that's ever been offered in the States, because you always have to worry about that angle, which I know you're worried about with your
Not here
your
with
whole
my
parking
ramp,
structure. So I'm saying you guys dialed it in, but typical rollback, you're coming up that 30-degree angle. You got to get all the wood out, all the boards out, but this thing drops perfectly flat, and so
it's so cool.
Pop the car right on there and drag it back up. It's the coolest thing.
Out of Japan.
Yeah, and see, there's the race car.
And
on
it's
there.
old enough that it's road legal.
Yeah, it's a 93.
Dude,
yeah.
What does one of those go for? Is that reasonable money? It's gotta be. How much could that be?
No. I think we paid. By the time we paid for it, it got shipped here and carb legal, which we're still in the middle of doing.
Oh yeah.
It's we're gonna be like over 40 on that thing.
Oh, that's kind of a lot.
It gets
it's cool, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. You could definitely get a standard tow truck for that much, no problem.
Yeah, and like a rollback.
The
if
rollback
you don't
feature,
need that's amazing.
Yeah. And it's on brand, so it's Nissan.
For sure.
That's the main reason why we got that thing.
That tray drop on a truck here. I don't know where it came from.
They're real hard to find.
But one of the flatbedders that we use here at WCCS showed up with one of those.
Nice.
And I don't know how much it cost or where he got it. It was fucking badass. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, like we saw one when they had that Bugatti over at Race Service. They had a trailer, specific trailer for that thing.
That's who it was.
Yep.
It was the Bugatti trailer.
Yeah, and so they, enclosed trailer just sitting there, and then like the whole tray rolls out. They drive the car onto it,
and it's
strap
got
it down.
the cover, like the Oregon Trail, like covered wagon cover on it, right?
Yeah, and they just drag the whole thing into the enclosed trailer, and I was like, that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
And so this is the closest we get to it.
No, that's badass. That's fucking awesome.
And it's convenient. So, but we're like, so we're gonna be starting up with that and one of our other enclosed trailers, a tow service, with our shop. So. Not just bringing cars to our shop. We don't do customer work at the shop. We just work on our own fun projects.
Yeah.
But my truck driver, basically when he's not cruising around the country, he's going to be running around town and with the Condor and/or our enclosed trailer, just doing like pickups and drops and so, because it seems like there's always someone that needs a car moved. So
there is.
Yeah.
We do a lot of car shipping here.
I can only imagine.
A ton. I mean, we do a lot of local shipping. We got customers who live across town and don't want their cars driven. And we should be flatbed the shit across town.
And just drop it off in their driveway.
Yeah,
That's
basically.
awesome. I mean, why put the extra miles on if they're not driving it?
I know. For insurance, we have a thing. We have to hand it to them. We can't leave it in their driveway and go away. We have to deliver cars to a person.
Gotcha.
Which has come up a couple of times. Actually.
I was curious how that worked. So you guys store the cars and load them up, take them over, drop them off. They use it for the weekend and bring it back, or how's like
something like
customer?
that. A lot of the cars here, probably 60%, basically never leave.
Wow.
They're super long-term storage. Either the client lives somewhere far away, or the client is keeping these cars that they really want to keep, but they don't really need to use. We've got quite a few cars that were inherited from parents or whatever. The cars that are sentimental, we've got probably 10, 15 cars that go out almost every weekend, and the rest of them do a lot of sitting.
Cool.
You noticed a bunch of empty spaces on the ground level?
Yeah.
Those are the frequent use cars, and everything that's up in the air does a lot of sitting.
Yeah. So the NASCAR's not going out every weekend?
That's a super speedway car, and it's functional.
Yeah. What year body is that one?
It's a Danica car, and it's a nationwide series car, and I want to say it's from like 15 maybe or 16.
Okay.
But it's super speedway, so it's asymmetric.
Yep.
And it's got and it's meant for Danica. So it's like a fixed seat for like a 5'2" girl. So there's only one guy who works here who's even small enough to like cram into it to steer it, and so that thing is pretty far out of the way.
I saw it. It was way up in the corner.
Yeah, it functions, but to start it, you've got to hook up a oil heater and warm the oil up to 160 to fire it.
Oh yeah, we have that 2010. It's a road course car, so it's not asymmetric, right? And so it's good for the lefts and the rights. And we picked that one up, and that was the one that we took to the drag strip and drag raced, and Turk scattered the engine on the ground. It wasn't exactly his fault, but he just happened to be in the seat, of course. I drove it right before. I think that's when it got hurt, maybe. And then he jumped in, and it smoked it. And so, but then, that's the car that we put the 2J into, so the 2J NASCAR.
Oh, yeah. So that seems very interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Is that still kicking around?
Oh, yeah. We took it up to Button Willow, and we're doing laps around there with it.
Did you have a timer? What was it running?
Did not have a timer.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we're just like just shaking it down, testing it out. And so we weren't really giving it like full pulls. It was the first time having it out with the 2J.
Yeah.
Outside of like just moving around the shop.
I bet that's pretty fucking awesome.
It's really freaking awesome. It was ripping down the straight. That thing does like 800 wheels, so it's more powerful than a NASCAR.
Yeah. That seems like a good time.
You built a couple of these.
Is it a 4-speed still or 6-speed now?
It's 4-speed, yeah.
It's still the 4-speed?
Yeah, it's the same one. It's the same drive shaft. We just like did an adapter to the trans and like bolted it all back in, and we're like, the drive shaft still fits. Just stick it in there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lucky day.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zach, what were you saying?
You built a couple of these like Franken cars for different shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite, and then what has been the biggest nightmare?
Biggest nightmare might be that 2J NASCAR. Just for several reasons, but no, that thing, because it started off cool. It's like, oh, we got this, NASCAR. We're gonna do this, gonna do that with it, and it's like scatter the motor first time out. We're like, oh my god. And then we put a new 2J into it, and then that thing's been giving us problems, and so that's why like our test date kind of got cut short, and so we're just like, all right, load it back up, take it back to the shop. So we're like going through the motor on again. So like it's had very little drive time.
It shouldn't have problems. That seems pretty straightforward.
It was an old race motor that went into it.
That's why.
And so from a buddy of ours.
Oh boy, look at this fucking thing.
Yeah, but it's a ride, I'll tell you what. And so we're going through the motor right now, getting it rebuilt, and it'll ideally be back running this summer. So it's just not very high on the list, if you will. So just because FD season's coming around, so we're all working on that. But so that thing will be going back together soon.
It's April already, isn't Long Beach like?
Well, Long Beach got postponed to September, so now we are doing Road Atlanta for the first round. That's May 7th and 8th. So
fun.
Yeah. Couple weeks.
Road Atlanta's a good time.
Oh, it's the best time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, you've been there.
Of course. You're not.
That was a great time.
You don't use turn 12 for the fucking.
We use.
You come down the straightaway.
Come down the back straight. Do the chicane up into the keyhole and back.
Oh, and then back out. You come back out the way you came in.
Counter course back up the back straight.
Yeah. Road Atlanta rules.
Oh, it's awesome.
Is it fun to drift there?
Oh my god, it's like my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah. Especially when we were going there with Grid Life, that was just
because you're going the whole way around.
Yeah.
The whole circuit's fucking. That's bananas.
Yeah. So me and Turk were hitting like almost like 140 or something coming down the hill.
Across the kink.
And it was just like not a good idea.
Are there?
Because I was 4 deep in the M.
Jeez. Oh my! You took Killer Mike for a ride in that thing, didn't you? Out there. That was. You had a riot of a time.
He was he was riding in the race service Mercedes, and had his wife in the car with us because he's a big guy. Didn't exactly fit in the car.
Fit in the Sparkos.
Yeah, the seats are a little too tight. So he rode in the chase car.
Altima.
Yeah. That's the plan. So, that car is like, I can't wait to get that thing out to more tracks. Because Horse Thief Mile is fun. It's just like a lot of like, straights and horseshoes. So, so we want to get that thing out and just like let it eat on a big turn. So that's going to be fun.
What's it like entering a corner in a slide at 140 miles an hour?
Sketchy at best. And so you kind of like, so with that car, we kind of like use that. It's like the kink and like the kind of little like crest right there. So that's kind of like where the car unweights and we get it to settle out to the right. And so you do like a big braking feint entry into the Long Beach or the Former Drift course. And so, me and Turk, we went up over the crest the one time and I was into sixth gear in the M, and fifth gear hits like 140 or 135, and so we're just like, we did it based off math. We're like, that's fast. And then the next year we did it again with radar guns.
Yeah, because you were like, you're crossing like the 5 board for braking, like already sideways.
Yeah.
It's a fucking long entry into that. We were
initiating where the FD start line is.
Yeah. That's fucking nuts.
It's far.
It's really far because you've got the downhill and it's a really slow entry from there. So you're going from VMAX to like first gear. Is it first gear?
No, yeah, we're doing third. But it's third? Well, it's like a 40.
It's a fucking tight entry.
It's like a 45-mile-an-hour corner.
Yeah, it's a tight entry.
Yeah, depending on your car, you might be in first.
Yeah.
So we're talking 10A, about 10B. So we're coming around. We're using the kink at 9 as our initiation point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
so it's down the whole hill.
Yeah.
Sideways.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was. That was the dumbest thing we've done in our car so far. And it was the first time I like officially scared somebody out of the car because we did that.
Someone tapped out.
Yeah, and I had I had 4 deep in the car, and we do that, and he was sitting left rear, so the bad spot. And we come around, we go into the pits to change tires. I'm like, all right, let's get back in. And he's just like, I'm good. No. I'm done. I was like, wow, okay.
Dude, I want to bring, is Grid Life at Gingerman this summer?
Yes.
I want to bring the Drift Hummer.
There you go.
Have you seen the mil spec?
Yeah.
These guys out of Detroit, the Drift Hummer? Mm-hmm. I drove it last week in Detroit.
No way.
It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It drifts like proper.
I believe it. We threw together that one on Motor Trend. We put a Duramax in it.
Yeah.
And we didn't do too much to the suspension. We just lowered it a little bit, put big power to it, and that thing was a riot to drive.
So this thing, it's got a Duramax. It's got 1,200 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
2-speed, 2-wheel drive transfer case and an ARB locking diff.
There you go.
And it was lower. There it is. And it weighed 5,200 pounds, which for a Hummer, it's like crazy light.
Yeah, well, they have aluminum bodies.
Yeah, mid-end. No, this is steel.
That one's steel?
That's stainless steel.
I thought the one that we used was aluminum.
Really?
Is that true?
I think they're steel. Well, this one had cloth doors. So, I don't know. And the hood is fiberglass, I think.
That's why those doors look weird.
Because they're made of cloth?
They're made of cloth.
Yes.
Lightweight cloth.
Yeah. We
I
just
wanted
threw the doors out on ours.
I requested to do the whole drift film with no doors on because they come off in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, this is already sketchy enough.
Well, yeah, we did our whole thing with the no doors. We had one race seat on the driver's side, but then my buddy Jimmy, who's like my crew chief and car guy and everything else, he's riding in the folding little bench seat on the passenger side, just like.
No, this one has four racing seats in it. Fucking thank God.
Yeah.
But that would be
look at that seat.
Oh, yeah.
We're just letting it rip.
Oh, you had some beach chairs in that shit.
Yeah.
Yours looks fun.
It was very fun.
That looks cool as hell.
Yeah. So we took that thing out to...
But it does help to have street tires on it to drift, I think.
Oh, I believe it. We were in the dirt.
Yeah.
So it was fun. But we took it out and just had that thing sliding around. Yeah. What was that base that we took it to? Fort Irwin? The one that's like towards Vegas?
Yeah. That sounds right.
Big one. So yeah, they have Blackhawks out there. You see that guy just standing there like, don't go near that thing.
That guy, those guys, you could do something so cool in front of those guys, but God forbid they appear to have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
We did some shit where we had some military guys helping
crack
us.
A smile.
Yeah, we lit up this old Mercedes with machine guns and fucking all this crazy shit. And these guys, they didn't find a lick of joy in any of it. It was very disappointing.
I think they're not like allowed to show. That they're having fun. Because, we had guys, there was 6 or 7 of them that were hanging out with us the whole day. And, every once in a while you saw them be like, yeah, this is fucking awesome, man. But, they were just straight-faced the whole time.
Don't tell my CEO, but this rules.
Yeah.
Let's get to the people. What do we have? We got a lot, I saw. Zach copied a bunch.
Wow, okay.
Ham Balvin says, hey, Chris, I'm working on a 240SX drift car in a friend's garage. Is it a good idea to use a heat gun on some fuel pump wires over an exposed full fuel tank? That seems bad.
That's not a great idea.
The way that's written implies, have you lit a car on fire doing that?
I have not, but somebody I know has. Yeah. That was from an old drift garage. Our buddy Sam, the camera guy, he's like, it's his car that we're building, And like while we're doing other stuff, we're like, yeah, if you want to like finish up the fuel pump while we move on to something else. And yeah, he's back there. He kind of like
Oh boy.
Yeah, sure shit caught something on fire, but it didn't get very bad, but it was not good.
Ramon says, "What's your favorite special edition Z?"
Ooh, well, one of my favorite special edition Z commercials is Black Gold.
Black Gold.
You know it.
Black Gold.
Black Gold.
Our old house, Zach and I's old house in Playa del Rey, there was a guy up the road who was definitely some kind of a hoarder.
Yeah.
But one of the things he had was a Black Gold Z in the driveway.
Nice.
I recently drove by. It's still there, Zach. It's not looking very good. It's not going well for that particular Black
Gold. It's looking more like gray and brown than black and gold.
Black Gold is my favorite too.
It's a cool looking car. Yeah.
Did you know there was a red black too? There was a black red.
Oh, I did not.
So
I'm just basing it strictly off the commercial.
Right, but I was. This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
I was watching Pawn Stars.
Cool.
And someone brought in a black red, and apparently there was 1,500 black golds and 5 black reds.
Whoa.
The black red was rarer.
Did not know that.
But it didn't have a cool theme song.
Yeah.
Chappie says, for me, a great car design is one that looks good in any color. Example, Ferrari 355, Porsche 911. What's a great design measure for you guys? Looking good in any color is what's a great design measure? Oh my God, I don't know.
Yeah,
I have a visceral reaction to design. It's either good or not.
If you get the rule of thirds right, I mean, Aston Martin, like for a
Rule of
while,
thirds is
their
good.
cars look good in pretty much any color.
There you go.
You have to
Definitely a good way
either
to break it
commit
down.
yourself to being very round or to being very square. You can't try and bridge the gap between round and square. It doesn't really work.
I do like very hard body lines, which is why I like a lot of classic cars. But I like how they're coming back to that now. Like you see a lot of angular design in the modern cars now versus early 2000s. Everything was getting real bubbly.
Bubbles? Yeah, the bubble cars. Yeah. They were following the injection molded plastic manufacturing methods. Nick says, I know it doesn't directly affect Pro FD drivers, but how do you feel about the new rules in the Pro 2 program? Can't wait to see you in St. Louis. Do you know about the new rules in Pro 2?
I certainly do. So
what's the deal with that?
So Pro 2 has now become Pro Spec, and so I think what Formula Drift is trying to do is have it just be a more affordable series to get into, kind of like GT3 versus GT4.
Right.
And so on Formula Drift Pro 1 cars, what we run, you can do, custom steering columns, custom, pedal systems. Everybody puts their radiator in the back, things like that. But now Pro Spec, they're eliminating that. So you must run a factory column. You must run factory brake pedals. You must run the radiator in the factory position. And I don't technically agree with it because there are certain things, especially the radiator in the front, is very difficult to fit properly when you're doing certain engine swaps, right? Which is why everybody stuffs them in the back, get it out of the way. And not that it can't be done, but it's difficult to have your car not overheat when you're trying to work in a more confined space.
Right.
And so they're doing it for cost reasons and trying to make these cars cheaper to build, more accessible, which, the thing is, yes, it might be cheap for that series, but the thing is, anyone that's running in Pro Spec is trying to get into Pro 1. So they build their cars to Pro 1 specs, and then they run in Pro 2 as long as they have to. And so now it's like they have to go back and rebuild their car to be competitive in Pro 1. So it's kind of...
So you're making these people spend more money to change their cars.
Yeah.
And someone who is starting from scratch has to go down one direction only to have to change direction to get to the next level beyond that. You can't evolve with the car.
And so I see that the theory is like, oh, it already came with these stock components, so we're saving you money. But on the same hand, it's like sometimes more difficult to make the factory stuff work than it is to just buy the better aftermarket, lighter, more reliable solution. So, because even like on 240s, for example, like the most popular car out there, people will break their clutch pedals in there because you put a heavy-duty clutch pedal in, and the steel, the spot welded steel will eventually wear out. And so you have to reinforce them to run them, which is why most people just remove them. And so there's certain things that you should be able to upgrade for safety reasons. Sure.
Do you think they need like a third level feeder series just below. So you could have front radiator, at level 3, and then when it's time to move to Pro 2 or Pro Spec, then you'd go, okay, now you can put wherever you want because you need to be closer to that Pro 1 car anyway.
Yeah, I would think. Well, there's basically Pro-Am, right? And so Pro-Am is like what they would run at Willow Springs or these other tracks, and that is what you have to finish in a certain position to move into Pro Spec, right? Well, what is now Pro Spec, and so like you would think that would be the series that would kind of put these rules into place, but Formula Drift kind of just took it in their own control to have this very visual difference between a Pro 1 car and the lower tier car.
Okay.
Which, it's pros and cons for me. Like, I think that, you should be able to have those two cars being built on the same platform because the big difference is they run much smaller tires, so it slows them down, makes the cars a little cheaper because they don't need to make the horsepower or have the drivetrain that the Pro 1 car has. But they can buy that stuff, so that it's there for the future, make the investment out of the gate, but they could run cheaper drivetrain or make less horsepower because they're spinning a much smaller tire.
Got it.
But yeah, rebuilding the car as far as like, moving things around and replacing things like that, not just like turning the wick up or buying a slightly nicer transmission, the next year, or upgrading it, so to speak, seems like the smarter way to go.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I'll take that perspective. I'll take your perspective over a lot of other people's. We'll skip those. Are any of these? Let's just skip the ones that are not about Chris. There we go. Poison 1553. Chris mentioned he went to the drag guys for the engine. Do you still need to rebuild the motor every 20 to 30 runs, or can you get away with more runs because you're not doing launches every time?
So yeah, this year we're working with T1 Race, which are the guys that are just the absolute fastest GTRs in the world. And so
where are they out of?
Texas. Yeah.
Shocker.
And so they are specifically into drag racing. But yeah, with drifting, drag racing, yes, is very hard on a motor, but it's for a short duration of time. The engines don't heat up as much, really, when you think about it. And they typically are kind of like flashing through the RPM. Whereas with a drift car, it's a 30-second pass, and yes, you're not floored for the entire 30 seconds, but say 15 or so. So it's like twice the length of a drag run, and it's basically sitting on the rev limiter that whole time. And
for some portions of it, the revs don't correspond to speed.
Yeah.
You could be spinning 8,000 RPM and going 35 miles an hour first part of it. Yeah.
And so the engine doesn't really know how fast you're going. It's just basically, wooded all the way through the course.
Is your rear-mounted radiator getting any natural cooling, or is it all just fans?
It's mostly fans. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And so the engines really get most of their cooling after the run's done. So when you basically clutch in and you're neutral and you're rolling back to the start line, that's when you see the temps really come down. But during the run, so essentially you imagine the motor is on the red line for at least 2/3 of the lap. So whether it's on the power or the clutch is in and you're keeping the revs up. And so there's all of that. And then guys that have anti-lag, the thing is just running boost when you're off throttle. So there's a lot of wear and tear going on those motors.
Right.
But the T1 guys, they built a fantastic motor, and I still see us being able to get through a full season without having to change it. That's the ideal. So run one season on one motor, pull it out, and have it refresh, put the next motor in, and just kind of keep a loop going between the two.
And this is the Ultima. This is not the, or this is the race
car. This is the
car.
Pro car too, yeah. The Ultima has the same motor.
You keep a spare though around. You never know, right?
Yeah.
You got to finish if you're in the middle of it. Yeah.
So yeah, we have a spare motor now for the program. We had a motor failure at Irwindale. But it was that motor was a little tired. It was a strange situation. We were asking for more power out of it than we should have. Basically running nitrous all the way out the top, and so trying to make more power on the top end than the turbos would allow. So we're putting nitrous on top of the boost instead of just using it to spool. And so we're probably making like 1,300 foot-pounds of torque or so at least. And so we basically we broke the crank in it, which broke the block. Yeah, not good.
That's catastrophic.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah. And we didn't happen to have our spare motor. It was at the engine shop.
To use the nitrous to spool the turbos.
Yeah, and so there's that, and we also have a few more upgrades on the engine to make it hold more power, and like basically billet components around the crank. So there's like a girdle and main caps and stuff that we did now, and also we're running bigger turbos, so that we don't need to use the nitrous because the nitrous just hits a lot harder.
Right.
Yeah.
Ryukachu says, what is the downside of a super powerful EV build as a drift missile. I mean, we discussed that before. I don't know if the question came in before and after. I don't really know what would be bad about using an EV for drifting, other than it might be hard to modulate the throttle without gears. And
the biggest thing that they struggled with was they didn't have a means of controlling the wheel speed, so it was just all on the pedal. So like, you know, if you're going 40 miles an hour, you want to hold it like 40% and so on. So it was really difficult for the driver to modulate the wheel speed. Whereas I feel like you could, you know, if you have someone that's good enough with electronics, you could essentially make like a high and a low gear, essentially. So like, you know, basically make a fake shifter, and so you run, you know, just like how we would downshift from like fourth to third and back up to fourth. It's like, okay, like launch out of the hole, get up, you know, have it in the high gear, and then when you're slowing down, you basically push a lever and it toggles it to like a max RPM of X amount.
I think you could also just run it into a gearbox.
You would
an
think.
Actual gearbox.
Yeah, I mean, these guys had it, you know, the typical drivetrain, so it's a motor right to the axles, right in the transaxle, I guess.
But
you would say.
GM is working on this crate motor in theory.
Yeah, you can swap
that you can put into a bell housing and put on a gearbox. So like
that would be ideal.
Yeah, in theory it would work, but I think a lot of the problems, like whenever I've taken an EV on a racetrack. It's always, you know, they're fucking fast. A lot of them are really fast. I just drove this unplugged performance Tesla, which has like 315 square stance, you know, fucking thing, ceramic brakes. Like this is a Tesla, it's mobbing, right? Runs like a 55 at Button Willow, like GT3 speeds.
Jeez.
But same thing with all EVs. The corner entry speed, it's not like, okay, it's a third gear corner. It's like, if I don't slow down to 70, I will sail this motherfucker off a cliff. And I have no perception of what that sounds or feels like unless I legit just like look at the number on the speedometer, you know?
Oh, yeah,
so
it's that's a good point.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird like that.
Yeah, that's like basically his biggest complaint was like, it just, everything felt numb.
Yeah.
Right? And
who was driving that thing?
Travis Reeder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so it was good to see it out there, but yeah, and like there just needs to be a little more technology in those chassis or those power planes before they really become easy to use for drift.
Yeah. Christian says, how's your non-drift driving? Do you enjoy grip?
I do enjoy grip. It's a lot of fun. I've been doing a little bit more recently. You know, with the NASCAR, and then we now have a Z that we built specifically for road racing. I haven't gotten into it yet. We actually have.
Do you have a 400 coming?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's coming. Not sure exactly when, but it's coming.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we have a new driver on the team. His name is Brian Highcotter, and he is a ripper, absolute ripper. And so he came from the Nissan GT Academy program, actually.
Cool.
He was the first winner, and he got put into the GT3 program. And so he...
Did he race at Le Mans?
I don't think he did Le Mans, but he raced in the U.S.-based series with Nissan Nismo from like 14 through 17 or something like that. And so he won a few events, he podiumed a bunch, and just very, very calm, collected driver in the GT3 GTR, pulling like 2-minute laps at like Circuit of the Americas.
Cool.
Very good. Yeah, there he is ripping in the new GLTZ, which is our road race build that will be competing at Grid Life, the GLTC series. What's that?
What is GLTZ?
Well, so it's a take on the name. So GLTC is the Grid Life Touring Cup.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that the fucking Fitz? Is that the Honda Fitz?
No, there's no
quite an
Fitz.
evolution.
Or is that just what they're calling their Time Attack series?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, no, it's not Time Attack. This is wheel-to-wheel racing.
Oh.
And so they have Time Attack, but now they have the GLTC, which is the Touring Cup. So it's a balance of horsepower versus weight versus tire. And so they have a formula that they plug in, and it's really close racing.
How long are the races?
Cool.
20 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah. So they do like 4 of them in a weekend too. So they'll do like a practice and a qualifying, and then a race, and then race in the 2 days.
That's fucking cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
so
fun.
that was our outing at Circuit of the Americas earlier this March. We finished that car. We had 0 testing, straight to the track. It was just another one of those. We built that car in 5 weeks. And so, and then that's, we took it out there, and he finished 4th overall on the weekend.
Nice.
On our debut weekend, yeah.
Cool.
And so it's it was great. And so we already found like a ton of things that we're upgrading on the car. We're like redoing the rear spoiler because that one had way too much drag. What was absolutely killing us was the ABS unit was pretty upset and was like locking the tires up here and there, because the brakes were more powerful than the ABS could compute. So it would basically send it into ice mode if it was too hard on the brakes.
Yeah.
And so we're redoing the ABS system. We fixed the bias on the brakes a little bit. We lost a little bit of weight on the car. We're redoing the spoiler and some more aero items, because he would get the drive, come out of the corner and be like up on the back straight, and you would just see him start falling back.
Oh my God, how frustrating.
I know, and I'm just sitting there watching. I'm like,
stock components.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's just I know. It's just like we're just watching like the drag, just like pull the car back like he had a parachute on.
That sucks.
So, but
when those things are set up right, they can be really fun. I don't like them out of the box, but when you put the right stuff on them, you can't say that shit, but I can.
Yeah,
I don't like them out of the box. You put the right stuff on them though, and they can be a really good time.
But yeah, he was saying the car was driving great. There's just first time out like little woes, and but it's a stock motor. Stock motor, yeah.
Wow.
We actually had to detune it because to make for the weight that it is. Yeah. So it's making like 225 wheel horsepower. So because it's racing against.
I'd like to go out in like a spec E46 or something in that series. That'd be fun, like a E46 330 or something like that would probably work about right.
Yeah, it probably would be good. There's a bunch of Miatas. There's a Cayman out there now. There's
those K24 swapped fits. Yeah. Those things mob.
Oh yeah. There's no fits in GLT's C, but there are all the Miatas are K20 swapped. Yeah, so they're pretty quick.
That'd be fun.
Then there's a couple S2000s, like a couple other Hondas. That's cool. Like an EG out there that's ripping pretty hard. So.
Well, the Grid Life guys, all the Honda, they got some crazy hatchbacks that fucking mob on those. Yeah. There's got guys with like 100 horsepower running crazy lap times in that Grid Life series.
Yeah, so it's cool. Like that's like the first time I really got. So I was out running that event as like kind of crew chief. Yeah, I wasn't driving. I was like, this is fun.
Cool.
I was enjoying it. Yeah.
Huey wants to know what you think about sim drifting. Is it good for practice? Is it good fun? What's your take on it?
So yeah, I have a sim setup from Rick Motec, and it's got like the slide sense base and everything, so it's pretty fun. And so we do
the base move as you're sliding.
Ooh, cool. Yeah, so it's cool. That's actually how we got linked up with High Cotter, because he's an absolute killer on the sim. Like he won the SRO Esports Championship last year, and so we got linked up with him when I got mine as like just helping me set it up. And that GT3 GTR that you saw there, that's what we race. So we have it all branded up with our current partners, and we run it in the SRO series. And but yeah, so I'll also do drifting on it. We use Assetto Corsa for it, and it's a ton of fun. I wouldn't say it's like the best practice, but it's better than no practice. Yeah, because with drifting, like we're driving those things like twice a month at best.
Dude, you got to get the LA Canyons mod for Assetto Corsa. Have you seen that shit?
I don't have it.
There's a dude, I think his name was Phoenix, and he made, based on Google Maps and my videos, an exact replica of the Angeles National Forest.
That's awesome.
And the routes that I drive in our videos. And I go up there, my friend's got Assetto Corsa, couple fucking cocktails, and I get in my Lamborghini, half drunk, virtually in the canyons, except in virtually it has a handbrake in this. He's got the dog leg shifter set up, but I also have a handbrake, and it is a very good time.
Yeah, I really like the sim stuff. Do you do the VR or screen?
I get a little nauseous with the VR.
Can't do the VR.
I like the screens.
I do the screen.
Give me the big three. Yeah, we're golden.
Yeah. It's I really enjoy the sim stuff. It's
don't fucking tweet at me and tell me all the things I need to do with VR to make it better.
Yeah,
don't care. Do that. I don't fucking care. I like screens. Leave me alone.
This is me. I'm setting my ways.
Yes. Don't give a fuck. Jack Martin Photography says, Chris, you were supposed to be one of the drift commentators at World Time Attack Sydney in 2016. Where did you end up? Because I remember you were on mic then disappearing. Partying, mate. Did you have a VB?
So I went out to the World Time Attack Sydney 2016, and I was supposed to drive a 370Z with a VK56, just like my pro car. This guy, Josh from MCA, he was a real nice guy and offered his car up, and Yeah, sure enough, that thing threw a rod out the side in first practice. And so, yeah, so it was
That's
a bummer.
a long fucking way from home, too.
It was a bummer for sure. And like, I mean, they rewrapped the car to match my pro car and everything. And yeah, it was a letdown for sure. And so they pulled out, like a local guy had a 240 with an LS motor in it. And it was just like, not up to snuff. It was like 400 horsepower, and I'm going up against, like Mad Mike and everyone else, and they're like proper like 800 horsepower cars. And yeah, I just I had Daigo in the qualify against Daigo, and I'm just like, great. So yeah, I got knocked out first round. Who knew?
I fucking Mad Mike. That guy rules.
He's awesome.
We met him at Leadfoot. He was the coolest.
Yeah, he's a very cool dude.
If you ever get a chance to do Leadfoot, it's really fun. It's the hill climb in Rod Millen's driveway. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Haven't made it to that one, but yeah, I see Mike a lot out at Goodwood, so I've been there for a few years.
Get to Goodwood.
Cool. Goodwood is.
I need to get to the next one.
Blow your fucking mind, dude. It's the best car event on the planet.
I wanted to go. I got a call from Maz from Singer. Mm-hmm. Maz is the one, the guy from Singer who's not famous. Rob Dickinson gets all the credit, but Maz is the other guy that nobody hears about. And he goes, "Hey man, you gonna go to Goodwood this year?" And I was like, "Well, I'd like to, but I don't know. I got shit to do." He goes, "I need someone to drive the Singer up the hill." And I go, "Excuse me?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Look, I'm gonna level with you. That's the kind of thing where when I tell you on the phone how cool it sounds, you want to go." Yeah. He goes, "But there's a reason I don't want to go. It's because you have to sit in the woods for 3 hours waiting to drive the Singer up the hill. And I got shit to do if I'm going over there. I can't sit in the woods for 3 hours." And I was like, "Well, I'm not sure if I want to sit in the woods for 3 hours.
Yeah.
How about I drive a Singer here in LA?" He's like, "No can do." I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah. Well, it's not even that bad of a sit. Like, so you have your time, right? Your class, your group, or whatever that you're running in, and like I have a bunch of little Instagram stories and videos and stuff. Like, so you get grouped up, and so you're waiting, but you're with similar cars. And so like our group, the drift group, is also with like old like Group B rally cars and like all these like old open wheel race cars and like all just like it's like the misfits of racing, right? Yeah. And we get thrown together. And so you basically like you move into different staging areas, right? So you group up in like right out of the tents, and it's very open, as in you'll have the gnarliest cars all just in open, canvas side tents, right? And like everyone's very respectful and nobody messes with anything. Uh-huh. And so yeah, you pull out of the tents, you all get in line, you kind of sit there, and you can you hop out of the car, you walk up and down the line, and there's people around, they're all looking at the cars, and you move down to the little parking lot and you grid up there. Same thing, you can hop out, go check out cars, take pictures, do whatever. And it's like, okay, moving, they start blowing the whistles, you get back in your cars, they tell you to fire up, and you see people start staging out, you move into, so there's probably like 4 or 5 like little staging areas, but you get to like enjoy the cars in your group, and then you're not really like,
do this.
It's not. If anyone ever gives you the opportunity to go to Goodwood, especially to drive someone else's car, you have to take it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of pressure. Drive a Singer up the hill in front of a crowd of people that would really like to see you sail it into the fucking hay bales.
Just don't show off
for the YouTube. No, I know, right?
I was gonna say you just have to cruise it up there.
No, I know.
There's a lot of people that will like just rip the hill as hard as they can, and there's other people that are just like they're just waving on their way.
Some people are going for times, right? They're just they're just like for the record.
Well, the commentators fucking do it, treat it like it's for time.
Yeah. There is like a shootout that they'll do, and so like
they get close to that wall.
Oh yeah.
It's narrow.
And so when we go, like, we're trying to drift the whole thing from start to finish.
It's like, and isn't it like 20 feet wide?
It's not very narrow.
It's not wide.
It's like as wide as this room in some spots.
It's like not
wide. And so like you're like catching hay bales and like it gets gnarly.
I think so. Leadfoot is about the same size in terms of width, and the only guardrails are hay bales, and it's pretty short, but it's awesome.
The speed is lower.
Leadfoot is much slower.
The straightaways, the speeds are way lower. The straightaways are not nearly as long.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hit 4th in my V8 car, so that was like $120 like before we pitched into the one turn. That was bad news. Definitely hit the hay bales one day.
I don't think you'd see over 70 or 80 at Leadfoot. It's a little tighter.
It's very like hill, like more hill climby than like Goodwood's almost like a road race. It's it's fast.
I want to watch that, and I really want to watch Isle of Man TT. I got to get over there for that. Crazy
out of control.
A couple more, and then we wrap it up. I don't really understand this, but Pool wants to know. I got to paraphrase this. Is a transition to pro drifting similar to other pro motorsports? Enough time, skill, and luck versus starting from the womb? Does that question mean If you're already an adult, is it too late to get into pro drifting?
Yeah, so I think that's what he means.
Like.
So like, because you imagine like, I'm not gonna like. Well, I mean, I'm a racer, but you're not going to be, a 30-year-old that's like, I want to be an F1 driver now, and just like start doing that. It's just not enough time. But yeah, pro drifting, I've seen people go from being like a autocrosser, just like enjoys the controlling a car around, to being like, I want to do pro drifting, and you can move up the ladder in like 5 years. And so it's dedication, time, and skill. You can be a pro drifter. So it's
I mean, Alex Yeager, right? Like.
Yeah,
we used to watch him do videos on the Drive YouTube channel, and he was doing rally stuff and rallycross stuff, and then I kind of like blinked for a little bit. It's like, I know this guy, and now he's pro too, right?
Yeah, he's running Prospect this year. So, and we're helping him out with the car build through MA Motorsports is doing the physical car build, but I'm providing him with a bunch of parts and. Basically just like, here, like put this here, do this here. And like, I worked with Brian at MA when we had like our V8 set up and won our championships, or 2 of them. Our most successful years for sure. We were top 3 4 years in a row. And so he's building Yeager's car. It's going to be like a mirror of our car, essentially. Like we sent him our turbo manifolds and the turbos for it and everything else, and like the intercooler package. And, so they're getting that thing all dialed in. But yeah, so, a driver like that where it's just like, you are a good driver and you want to be a pro drifter, if you have the wherewithal to control a car and the patience, because getting over that first hurdle of like letting the wheels slip and knowing how to drift a car is the hardest part, and then from there it's just it's just
feel and practice.
Yeah, it takes time, of course, and skill, and but yeah, it's a lot easier than to just like want to be a NASCAR driver one day. It's mostly because there's a larger pool, of drivers going to a smaller, area. So like with there's just endless people that are racing, karting and open wheel that all want to be F1 drivers. And same thing with NASCARs. Endless guys that are running sprint cars all around the country that want to be NASCAR drivers. But with drifting, it's still so small that you can work your way through it.
Yeah, and there's like room in the series for like independent money, independent teams, stuff like that. It's not like there's like a Richard Childress that you need to like audition for.
Exactly.
In drifting.
It's still young enough where you can get in.
Yeah. Kadori Crunch says, actual question, should I learn to drift on my S14, my E30, or my NC Miata? S14, dude.
S14, hands
That's
down.
like what they are for.
Yeah. They're accidentally built for drift.
Yeah, they're for that and pretty much nothing else. What do you see as the next affordable drift car? I fundamentally disagree with the second half of this sentence.
Yeah, me too.
As 350 and 370Z prices climb. I disagree.
Those prices are dropping rapidly.
They are not climbing. They're not climbing. And when the 400 comes out, they won't all of a sudden go up either.
No,
they'll go down.
They'll continue to go down.
The next affordable drift car, I mean, bro, there's all the Mustangs in the world out there.
So we used to tell everyone like, oh, get a 240. But like the thing with that is you have to do an engine swap. And so now it's affordable to get something that comes with a 6-cylinder or an 8-cylinder. And so you can get in a Z and have a drivetrain that'll take you up to like 60-mile-an-hour drifts without having to really do any upgrades. The transmission can take it, the axles can take it, whereas with a 240, it's like, oh, I got to do a whole engine swap. Now I'm blowing my transmissions up. Okay, now I got better transmissions. I'm blowing my axles up. And it's just like,
I feel like a stock Camaro SS with an angle kit will get you fucking 90% of the way.
Get you pretty far.
I mean,
you'll have a good time at the grassroots
shit out
events.
of one of those things.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do anything really. I mean, you got plenty of power. You got a diff. What else you need? You're there.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah,
it was a good time. I appreciate it.
Very cool to see the facility, and the studio is killer.
Thanks,
man.
And
this place has not been up for very long, huh?
No, we've been open since September.
Yeah.
But we're full.
Yeah. Already
out of here. Sold it out.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah, dude. Chris is going to be racing it's the 370 still this year, right?
Yep. Yeah, this is the farewell tour, if you will.
The 370Z farewell tour, the number 64 NOS Energy drink in Formula D this year.
Yeah.
Starting
May 7th and 8th in
Road Atlanta.
Yeah.
And not in Long Beach until September.
That's right.
All right. Well, I will come to Long Beach for sure.
We'll be there.
And is Irwindale still the finale?
It is, yeah.
So there's like, so is it Long Beach and then Irwindale?
Yeah.
At least you get to keep it local at the end.
Doubleheader.
That's fucking cool, man.
That'd be sweet.
can I sneak a ride in this Altima somehow?
Oh, yeah.
I got to have a go in the Altima.
Well, you said you're going to come out to Grid Life, Michigan, right?
I'd like to, if we can. If we can make it work, I think
we're
going to
be at a couple Grid Lifes with the car. There'll be a few other events that we're going to do, but that thing's going to leave town end of next month to go to actually Gingerman, not the big event. They do 2 a year. So there's a Gingerman Festival, and then they do another one. So the first one's more chill. We'll be at that. I'm going to hit a couple other events in the Chicago and like Midwest area for the Grid Life guys. And then Alpine Horizon at
Alpine Horizon.
Colorado Springs. And then back to Midwest for Gingerman again. And then it'll be back in California. Wow. But yeah, you make it out to the Grid Life.
I want to go to one of them. We got Zach and I have a big off-road trip coming up. We're going to do 600 miles off-road in the Southern California backcountry discovery route. And then we're also doing the Safari Southwest Rally, which is 15 Safari 911s.
No way.
All the a bunch of the Keen cars.
Nice.
And Larry's going to come shoot it.
That's
cool. And you know Bryson? You must know Bryson the painter. Bryson the painter's out of Atlanta. He's Lee Keen's paint guy for all the safaris, but he's in the Grid Life crowd as well. He's always got this crazy Civic hatchback that he paints in like crazy liveries every year.
Oh, okay.
And he's now doing this Cayenne shit with these guys, but he has a crazy Civic race car that it looks like it's got decals on it, but it's actually all paint. Like full race liveries painted on. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's really cool.
And so he's the support vehicle. With the Cayennes, so that'll be very fun. So if the dates work out, definitely Grid Life Gingerman for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And if you're there, we'll get you in the car, no problem.
Yeah, and what's the website? ForsbergRacing.com. Forsberg.
Yep, ChrisForsbergRacing.com. That'll get you there. There's a couple of that will as well. And then Chris Forsberg 64 on
the
Instagram.
Yep. Thanks, dude.
Yeah,
good times. Thank you for coming in.
Appreciate it, man. This is fun.
That is our show, everybody. For the live people, I'm doing a session on air with Christian James Hand tomorrow. We're breaking down Rise Against on Instagram. It's going to be very fun. And what's our next scheduled podcast, Zach?
Something next week. Possibly Spinelli.
Spinelli?
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
He lives?
He lives.
He
forever.
Spinelli will be on the show. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. We love you all. Good night. Bye.